Congressman Steve Scalise. He's the majority whip in the House of Representatives, part of the leadership team that extended this invitation to Prime Minister Netanyahu to deliver the speech. Sir, thanks so much for being here. I guess just to start, can you understand why some Americans are troubled by the notion of the U.S. Congress inviting a foreign leader to speak at our Congress to undermine very sensitive nuclear negotiations President Obama is trying to work with Iran, along with Russia, China, Germany, France, the UK. Can you understand why, just as a principle, some people are bothered by that?
Well, Jake, what I've seen not only throughout southeast Louisiana, where I represent, but when talking to my colleagues, Republican and Democrat alike, across the country, you saw incredibly intense interest in the Prime Minister's speech, not only in the House chamber, where I haven't seen this kind of demand for tickets. It was standing room only. You had not only members of Congress, but former members of Congress who came back, a completely packed chamber, very electric atmosphere, and incredibly powerful words by Prime Minister Netanyahu. I think most Americans recognize that Iran is working towards developing nuclear weapons capability. Our sanctions were working incredibly well to bring their economy to the brink, and right when they were brought to the table, the president let off the gas, eased back on the sanctions, and the Prime Minister rightly raised real concerns about that earlier, over a year ago. I know many in Congress, Republican and Democrats, shared those concerns when it started to ease off the sanctions. But today he laid out some very specific problems with this deal that's being developed that could cause real long-term implications throughout the Middle East if this kind of bad deal is agreed to.
Well, I understand that it was an exciting speech, especially for House Republicans, but you didn't really answer my question, which is, can you understand why some people found the very principle of the invitation to try to undermine something President Obama is trying to do, why that principle can be seen as disrespectful?
No, it's a small group of people, I think, that might have opposed it. I think most Americans embraced it. The president himself, I think, tried to inject politics into it. But I thought the prime minister did a really good job tactfully at the very beginning of his speech at diffusing some of those political implications. And you saw not only Republicans but Democrats standing up, giving standing ovations. Might have been more standing ovations than I've even seen for State of the Union addresses. And I'm not just talking about Republicans, all Democrats standing up multiple times throughout the prime minister's speech. So I think it was incredibly well received by both parties. And I think people across the nation now have an even deeper understanding of just how volatile this whole idea of Iran developing a nuclear weapons capability, and how important it is for the United States to not only keep our foot on the gas, but actually increase pressure so that we don't end up with a bad deal. We end up with the ability to have Iran dismantle their nuclear weapons program, and the Prime Minister actually laid out some really good alternatives.
Well, the idea of Iran giving up its nuclear enrichment for what it describes as a peaceful nuclear power program, the White House says no one other than the United States even supports that in the P5+1 and the negotiating partners, that's a pipe dream, that there is no agreement that is going to end with Iran shutting down all of their nuclear reactors, their nuclear sites, getting rid of all their uranium, all the plutonium. That's just never going to happen. It's not realistic.
Well, the centrifuges were specifically brought up by Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he talked about the danger of the thousands of centrifuges that are there that would still be there after this deal, and the ability for them to move forward in 10 years, which is not that long when you talk about the history of nations, where 10 years from now they can continue with those centrifuges to ramp it up even more. He said, Prime Minister Netanyahu offered as an alternative, don't allow any deal to expire until Iran has dismantled their nuclear weapons program. And President Obama himself has even said that Iran shouldn't have nuclear capabilities. Well, then it's time to actually hammer out a deal that ensures that. He doesn't need other countries to go along with that. Our U.S. sanctions were bringing their economy to their knees and forcing them to the table. This isn't the time to ease off. It's the time to actually make Iran dismantle their nuclear weapons program. And this is a country that sanctions terrorism throughout the world.
Right.
Now, this isn't a good actor out there. This is no ally of the United States.
No one is arguing
They call us
that.
the Great Satan.
No one's arguing that. Before you go, I just want to get your reaction. President Obama has been making the case quite strongly that Prime Minister Netanyahu was wrong in 2013 with all of his dire predictions about the interim deal that was made then. I want you to take a listen to these sound bites of Netanyahu talking about the Iranian program.
The most dangerous of these regimes is Iran, that has wed a cruel despotism to a fanatic militancy. If this regime or its despotic neighbor Iraq were to acquire nuclear weapons, this could presage catastrophic consequences, not only for my country and not only for the Middle East, but for all of mankind. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb.
Now, I know you can't see the screen, but just to let you in, the first bite was Netanyahu in 1996 issuing a dire warning, and then again in that 2012 saying that Iran was close to obtaining a nuclear weapon. What do you say to critics who say that basically Netanyahu is the prime minister who cried wolf?
Well, Iran is making it clear that they want to move forward and enrich uranium and ultimately develop a nuclear weapons capability. You've heard other countries in the Middle East say if Iran's got a nuclear bomb, then it will escalate a nuclear arms race in the entire Middle East, the most volatile region in the world. So we've got to be more aggressive with sanctions that were working to actually ratchet those sanctions up right now and stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapons capability, because that's what they want to do. And they've said they want to eviscerate Israel from the planet. One of the things the Prime Minister said was, at a minimum, Iran's got to stop saying they want to eliminate Israel from the face of the earth. They ought to say that they're going to stop, and back it up with actions, that they're going to stop sponsoring terrorism throughout the world. Those are some very basic things they should do that they still refuse to do this day.
Congressman Steve Scalise, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.